Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Inclusion Coach. My name's Rebecca, and I am your Inclusion Coach. This week, we're talking about intersectionality. It's not a word that's widely used or understood. You probably already know that there are 6 protected characteristics under UK law.
So it's illegal to discriminate on the basis of gender, race, disability, sexuality, age, or religion.
But it happens. We know it happens when we look at the composition of governments across the world, the leadership of large organisations, the way the media presents what's normal and what's different, and not always in a positive way. Intersectionality is a word to describe how these characteristics can compound to increase bias and reduce opportunities in life, education, work. So have another look at the characteristics. The more of these characteristics where you're in the majority, in general, the greater your opportunities are in life. Intersectionality isn't another word to describe identity. It's a word to describe how different characteristics and identities combine together to shape inequity. So let me give you a few examples of how intersectionality shows up in life. The first example is of missing white woman syndrome. This is the phenomenon that white women and indeed white children are far more likely to be prioritised by police and far more likely to be reported in the media. There was a US study of missing children which showed that although 50% of missing children are white, almost 90% of them get the media coverage. On the other hand, African American children comprise around 35% of missing children. They get just 7% of the media coverage. A second example is of people with visible disabilities finding that people can't see past their disability to the other characteristics. There's a guy on TikTok called Stephen who talks about having a disability and being gay. The problems he's had in getting people to see past his disability. He's had problems getting into gay bars. He's had people assuming that because he's disabled, he doesn't have sexual urges. And on the subject of LGBT+, most research into LGBT+ lived experience tends to have been with white Western participants, which means that Black and brown gay people find that their experiences are marginalised or dismissed.
And the final example, boys are 3 times more likely than girls to be diagnosed with ADHD. This isn't because girls are less susceptible to ADHD. It's because ADHD presents differently in girls, more subtly, and as a result it's harder to identify. So many of us think of the typical symptoms of ADHD being about hyperactivity, disruption, and they are behaviours that boys are more likely to exhibit than girls. With girls it's more likely to be daydreaming or finding it really hard to focus. So naturally boisterous boys may be incorrectly diagnosed with ADHD. Girls who do not present with typical disruptive symptoms remain undiagnosed and don't get the support that they need.
The characteristics I showed you a little bit earlier are very simple. Here's a more nuanced way of looking at how characteristics combine with each other. This is the diversity wheel. So we can see here how the 6 dimensions intersect across society, within organisations, in systems and structures, and that shapes someone's unique experience of the world. And we're all unique. Whilst our life experiences might overlap to a large degree with those of others, nobody has our personal intersectionality, whether it's beneficial or detrimental. And that is why an inclusive mindset, listening and believing the lived experiences of others, not generalizing, not falling back on stereotypes, that's why it's so important. So your challenge this week, I've put a PDF of the diversity wheel in the comments. Take a look at it and consider the wheel from your personal perspective. Where do you have advantages and disadvantages? and chat about it with your team, your colleagues, your friends, your family. How does it play out in their life? And how can you use the advantages that others don't have to advocate for them and share your power? That's it for this week. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.